And welcome back once again to Capitol Tonight. The American Cancer Society is accusing New York lawmakers of breaking a promise to fund anti-smoking efforts. They actually released a new report today that finds that the state spends less than 4% of revenue from cigarette taxes on anti-smoking programs. Now, healthcare advocates say that these programs have helped smoking rates fall faster in New York than the national average. And they would very much like to see the money that is raised from about $41 million to the $254 million recommended by the CDC. Joining me now is the American Cancer Society's Blair Horner. Blair, it's lovely to see you.
Thanks for having me.
So this is actually pretty fascinating. First of all, it comes on the heels of an announcement last week by Mayor Bloomberg that smoking in New York City has fallen to an historic low. And the way that they did that was really getting aggressive and basically banning it all over the place, beaches and parks and all sorts of places. So the key is you need to fund your smoking cessation efforts and you need to be aggressive. And if you're not, people are not going to stop smoking.
I think you should sit here, Liz. I mean, you're actually making the case. No, I mean, you get what you pay for.
Right.
And the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention have recommended that New York spend $254 million out of the billions of dollars they raise in tobacco taxes and money as a result of a lawsuit against the tobacco companies.
Right, I didn't mention that part. Yep.
Last year, New York State collected $2.1 billion, with a B, from the hides of smokers, from the wallets of smokers, and we think that the state should be spending at least a dime of that on ensuring that programs exist so that smokers that want to quit and don't want to have to keep paying it can. I mean, the issue is tobacco is a very addicting substance.
Yep.
It has a huge impact on the cost of the state, healthcare costs, Medicaid costs. The state should be doing everything it can to keep people from smoking and to help those who want to quit. And you can't do that if you don't spend the money.
So just to reiterate this, you're not even asking for all of the money to be doing what it's supposed to be doing. You're just saying, hey, could you kick in 6 extra cents, please?
Right, on the dollar. And we even proposed that it be phased in. We're only recommending that this upcoming fiscal year, the state spend $100 million, and then in increments going beyond there, ratchet it up, because, as we all know, the state's in a tight fiscal time, and it's hard to ask for more money. So
but you're asking for money that's actually yours, technically.
We're asking for money that smokers pay. Smokers pay the money. It doesn't come from anywhere. It's not like the tobacco companies pay this. They just pass the costs on to the smokers. Smokers are paying a lot more to smoke in New York City than they used to, and we believe that some of that money should be used to keep kids from smoking and help those that are so addicted to quit that they can't, to get access to programs. So that
well, but there's also the sort of separate but related issue of the settlement. Now, what year was the tobacco settlement again?
98.
Okay. That money was supposed to be used for smoking cessation and for other healthcare related issues. Am I wrong about that? It's been spent like 1,000 times over, hasn't it?
Well, just so your viewers know, all the states in the country sued the tobacco companies to get compensation for the additional costs they had to pay in the Medicaid program to treat smokers. And the theory was the tobacco companies bamboozled people into smoking by telling them that filtered cigarettes were safer, low tar was safer.
Well, and
it turns out they're not.
They purposely put in an additive to make it extra to boost the addiction.
That's right. That's exactly right. And so the states, they cut a deal. There's a settlement to drop the lawsuit. All the states get money, including the state of New York. And part of the deal, part of the rhetoric, and we cite it actually in the report, the rhetoric of the attorneys general and the governors that were involved is that the money was going to be used to keep kids from smoking and to help people to quit. And now that a lot of that money, in fact, in New York, was used to fill the budget hole after 9/11, 2001.
Right.
And the state securitized it, which is a funny word for basically lending it to Wall Street to get a one-shot.
Right. Well, and in return, getting money in return, but at a lower rate
it's like
than they would have.
30 cents on the dollar.
So here's the interesting thing also about this. You know, where is this money going?
Well, most of it, it's complicated, of course, because, we have the budget process is somewhat opaque, and if you put money here, like most of the money that gets raised from the settlement that's still in use, and most of the tobacco tax money goes to health care in the HICRA pool.
Right.
So it sort of floats around in there. Does that mean that the state is spending more money on health care? Maybe. It also could mean that they're spending less general revenue money on health care. So it's all sort of fungible in terms of how the budget process works. Again, that's why we don't think all of it should go, and I'm sure the state could even handle it. The experts at the CDC say the state of New York should spend $254 million. They lay out in a very detailed way how it gets spent. We talk about that in the report. And we think that the state should follow the expert recommendations.
You know, what's amazing about this is that anybody, I'm sorry, I know it's your decision if you want to smoke, but smoking is bad for you. That anyone is starting anymore, that people are still doing it, that we're still having this conversation, particularly after these incredibly graphic and really hard-hitting, public service announcements and on the pack itself, advertisements that indicate to people the harm that they're doing to themselves. They do it anyway, and they will say to you, well, it's my right to do it, and it's really none of your business.
Well, adults can say whatever they want to say. It turns out, if you look at the statistics, that almost everyone who starts smoking starts when they're a teenager, 14, 15 years old, even though that's below the legal minimum purchase age. Virtually everyone. And those people are not old enough, frankly, to make this kind of determination. And
isn't there an age at which you're not supposed to be able to buy
cigarettes? You're not supposed to be able to buy it under 18.
Right.
And yet the average age is 14, 15 of the beginning smoker. And so that's a problem.
Well, maybe enforcement is the real issue.
That is another of the issues. You also have to have an impact on the demand side. And so in the city of New York, for example, because of their aggressive efforts in the city of New York, the data that came out last week that you referred to earlier showed that 7% of minors, 7, are actually smoking. And that's the lowest in history. Why? It's because they're doing a great job of enforcement, they're doing a good job of advertising, they're aggressively making sure that people can't smoke in public places. They do all that. That's a package. All this stuff works together. New York's done some of it. They're not funding the program.
I wonder if we could foresee a time, and I saw this sort of floated out there online, that no one smokes.
Well, I certainly hope so. I mean, it's the leading cause of cancer death in America is lung cancer. It's a horrible way to go. Emphysema is no fun either. I mean, all of the diseases, and it's not like, some people say, well, what about food and all these other things? Food, even if it's not particularly good food, actually has a purpose for human beings. Smoking has no purpose. When used as directed, it addicts and kills. And so this is one product that I can tell you from the Cancer Society's perspective, we would be happy to see leave the scene.
What do you need the administration to do? In other words, you need the administration to have a dime and not 4 cents spent on the dollar of what's taken in what we typically call sin taxes. These are the kind of taxes that legislators generally feel okay about upping and upping and upping. How much? I have no idea. How much is a pack right now?
$4.35 and taxes.
Right. Not even in the cost.
No,
of
the cost is it's roughly $8-9 a pack now.
So they basically feel okay about doing that because if you want to have a decision to kill yourself, then it's going to be expensive essentially because the healthcare cost on the back end for taxpayers who don't smoke is very high. So you need the administration to say, okay, we'll do it. What do they say?
Well, we're just starting the effort now, right? I mean, the report came out today. There's going to be a number of activities going through the fall. We'll be briefing. We briefed some of the legislative folks today. We're going to start that dialogue. We don't know what they're going to say yet. I mean, the obvious pushback is, well, what programs do you want to cut to fund this program? And, of course, we're not arguing they cut anything. We think it's money that should be going to the program. But the state is going to be, it looks like the Cuomo administration is doing a more effective job in collecting taxes on bootlegged cigarettes.
Right.
Either by the companies, Indian reservations. They seem to be going after that more. That's a new revenue source if you look at it that way. And that could have a revenue that they could use for this kind of program.
Do you guys have a position officially on the collection of sales tax on Indian sold cigarettes?
Yeah, we should.
You do?
Yes, we think it should be collected. We think the New York State should follow the U.S. Supreme Court decision and ensure that those taxes are being collected.
Because it seems to me that the tribes are now moving away. They argue, well, we're going to produce our own cigarettes,
That's
and
right.
you really have no business collecting taxes on something that we produce on our own sovereign land.
Where all of this stuff gets murkier, I mean, the legal issue up until now has been, can the state collect taxes on sales to non-Native Americans from Native American reservations? And how do you do that? Now Native Americans are starting up their own companies, making their own cigarettes. that could be how does the state collect the taxes? If you go to New Jersey and buy something and bring it across the border, you're supposed to pay the sales tax on that. My guess is things like that will be the similar way that the state will follow.
Okay, so we're sort of straying into a different topic here, and unfortunately,
it's all related.
I know it is, which has to do with smoking, which you should not do. Just saying. If you're interested, just give information about this. It's an important report, and Blair, tell us where we could find it if we're so
It's
inclined.
online. You can go to cancer.org/NYNJ, cancer.org/NYNJ.
Okay, in the meantime, I'm sure if, in fact, you're successful, we will be reporting on it. I want to thank you very much,
Hope
Blair
springs
Horner, for
eternal.
being here.
Thanks, Liz.